O meu lugar é caminho de conheção. Lá tem cena até de manhã, uma ginga em cada andar. O meu lugar é cercado de luta e suor, esperança num mundo melhor e cerveja pra comemorar. Welcome. I am Charles Carter, your real estate investment broker, here with another bright idea. Welcome to the Investor Execution Lab. First, want to give a big shout out to Next Home My Way for allowing me to use our social media room where I am hosting this webinar this evening. So thank you, Jose, Carlos, and Angel. Next Home My Way, real estate brokerage here in Milwaukee. Always on the lookout for new agents that are looking hungry, desiring to, build their real estate career as a real estate agent or broker. Always give a shout out. You can always come down to our headquarters at 5151 South Howell Avenue. Is where I have my license, where I have my broker license up, where I hold my company, Raise the Standard Real Estate. So again, thank you to Next Home My Way for allowing me to host my webinar in their social media room. So thank you for coming. I'm gonna jump right into it. We were behind a little bit. We're having some technical difficulties, but without further ado, let's get into this presentation. How to execute the BRRRR deals in today's market. The whole point of the Execution Lab is to show you a system that can assist you in analyzing deals so you can build your real estate investment business. As my motto states, I don't help you buy a property, I help you buy a business. It just so happens to be a property. And I think having that mindset and having that focus will help you acquire properties and to accomplish your goals using real estate as a way to build your real estate portfolio, to generate the income, to live the life that you're trying to live, right? That's why we do this, right? As I use Raise the Standard, my motto with Raise the Standard is, if it doesn't improve my life, my family's life, my clients, and my community, I don't want to do it. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to help people here, is trying to help them live a better life, right? And to improve the community. I wholeheartedly believe that you can provide great housing, and provide it at a decent amount, and both parties be happy, right? Someone wants a good home at a good price. I think that satisfies a lot of people in the market, and in communities. I think will help communities thrive. When people are happy to go home and live in a happy life and have a good home, it can make living life a little bit better. And that's how I approach real estate. And I hope that individuals that want to work with me get that and understand that's my ultimate goal, while generating the income, right? It's making, I tell people this is my superpower. How I'm going to save the world is provide great housing. And I think it has a huge impact on our communities and our economy. So by the end of this webinar, you will have a framework on how to analyze deals, how to help you move forward. Because at the end of the day, I could give you, a calculator or whatever, but if you don't execute, what's the point of all this, right? So you can analyze 100 deals, but if you don't do nothing with those 100 deals, then you're playing the game, right? You're just not even playing the game. You're just pretending you're playing the game. And what's the point of that, right? So part of this, the Aspire 90-day program that's within The RTS executive cohort is a 90-day program that basically teaches you, you have three outcomes from it. It's either you're going to have a business plan on how to execute because you were not able to get pre-approved or you didn't have the capital to get a deal done. But by the end of 90 days, you will have a business plan on how to move forward and know what next steps are. The second result is you got to accept an offer. You're you know, part way through, you got the accepted offer. Now you're just waiting to close and put the rest of your business plan together. And the last outcome is that you've already closed, because most closing happen between 30 and 45 days. So if you did some of the, already got pre-approved or you already been through this process, but it's taking you longer, I can easily see anyone finding a property halfway through the program and, already closed, and now they're implementing the stabilization part of owning real estate. And I just honestly, that because this is no longer theory and just actual result based, you'll be able to start moving forward. There's always room for mistakes. There's always an opportunity for those, but you'll keep moving forward and understand that mistakes is just part of the game. All right, who is Charles Anthony? Why should you listen to me? Right, that's a important question to always answer when I do these webinars is, giving you some background from me, Charles Anthony, obviously a real estate investment broker. I'm a broker in Wisconsin, so I'm licensed in the state of Wisconsin, but I focus my business more on southeastern Wisconsin. I would say that's, I have connections and things from Green Bay, but I would say more of Milwaukee and the surrounding cities of Milwaukee, all the way down to Caledonia, Racine, and Kenosha. So that's pretty much where my business lies. I'm an investor, strategist, educator. I've owned real estate. Currently had to transition my portfolio, sell off some things, and building that back up. Also educator. I'm a graduate of the ACRE program and also an individual that went through the program and also led the program. I'm the creator of the Aspire Deal Work. Part of that is from the Aspire Mastermind group. There is a local group that I co-run. Big shout out to Aspire Mastermind. We meet once a month, the second Wednesday of every month here in the headquarters at Next Home My Way. And I created the Aspire framework kind of out of that because we are helping other investors, put their plans together and help them keep moving forward. And so from creating, co-creating the Inspired Mastermind Group, I created a framework that you can analyze a deal from the Inspire acronym. So I'll get into that later, but I built it from that. I am the founder of Raise the Standard Real Estate. Again, this was more, just from growing up on the north side of Milwaukee and recognizing that real estate played a huge part in my upbringing in my life, and in the community I serve, and wanting to improve it. And so I've always had that passion for it, and that just to raise the standard just always resonated with me. And again, my motto is I don't help people buy property, I help them build an investment business. And at the end of the day, as soon as you buy a property, you have an investment business, because you are trying to improve that asset and generate more money from something that you bought that was less amount. So that's an investment business, that you're not buying just a property, right? It's something that brings you income, and you need to treat it as such as soon as you possibly can, because I feel like that's part of the reason why I put this program together. Is I've just seen so many individuals take lightly of getting into the investment business and treating it as a hobby instead of a business. Quick win, again, some of the things that you're going to get from this program, and what's possible from it. A lot of people who start down this path of getting in real estate, they you got to gather information. I know it. I was there. I've read, I would say at this point, hundreds of books, listened to, hundreds and hours and thousands of hours of podcasts, real estate, and recognize that, yes, there's a bunch of stuff out there. And, you know, every system is unique in somewhat way. The what I My approach from it is being an investor and also being a real estate broker. And the approach of it, I felt like I was in this middle road of real estate. And I had my first transaction, and just not to completely knock the person that helped me out, but they didn't know anything, and I was analyzing the deals. I did everything necessary to understand that I wasn't just buying a property. This wasn't just a transaction of filling out paperwork, but how I got to that point, and what the point purpose was it. And the agent just basically walked me through, the transaction. They didn't assist me in running numbers and helping me, verify if this was a deal or not. It was a lot of me just, other things I read. I created my own, spreadsheet to use to be able to analyze deals, and I had to go with my, own gut feeling about it with the data that I created, and the, the information, and, coming to that gut feeling. Because of that, I realized the gap that was in the market. And so hopefully, going through this, you will feel more comfortable because of the uncomfortableness I went through, and kind of speeding up. So something I always tell people is that if you have a 5-year goal working with me, it should be a 3-year goal, and speeding everything up because of, your knowledge and my knowledge coming together, and helping you, allow you to do this. And because of that, like I said, creating a system, you can analyze a deal with under an hour. I would say the reason why I would say under an hour, and some people, well, I can do it quicker. Well, some of that is just a funnel, right? And this is another funnel that helps you move forward, right? If you just do the 70% rule, and well, there's going to come a point where you have to go deeper into your analyzing of that property so that you can better understand it. And then submitting offers with confidence, and rehab budget, and feeling more and more comfortable because of your ability to do this. So, these are the things that you can expect from this. Um, why BRRRR, right? I think BRRRR is the only, now I don't say only, but the most major way of improving something and generating wealth out of nothing. And then not necessarily out of nothing, but obviously this is the game, right? It's leveraging something to get more money so you can go get it and go leverage it again. And BRRRR is the method to do it. And some people just approach it wrong. Some people just don't have the right strategy to deal with it. But and I would say this is the individuals that don't have the right strategy but should, right? It's the professional, want, love their job, right? They love their job, and they know they need to invest in real estate. So I have my 5 pillars of building wealth, and that's investing in bonds, stocks, real estate, I would say local businesses, and entrepreneurs. And if you see the reverse of that, everything starts with the entrepreneur, right? And if you invest in other entrepreneurs, you're going to find other ways where you're building wealth because they're generating income from you. Well, those entrepreneurs should create a local business, right? And that local business, because entrepreneur, you tend to do it yourself. Then that local business, they're hiring people and things of that nature. Now they need to house themselves, so they're either investing in real estate, they're buying real estate, or they're renting real estate. And then that's generating wealth in some way. Well, they're giving wealth to someone else, or they're giving wealth to themselves. Eventually, if they go public, or you get other investors, right? That kind of is what stocks are, right? You can be on the market or off the market, but you have other investors investing in, and they own stock in that company. So like there's versions of that as well, not necessarily always being on the stock exchange. But eventually you get so big that you create bonds. But if not, you need to invest in bonds to sustain the wealth that you have in it, and it's investing into, your market, your country, or those things by buying bonds. So, being the professional, like obviously in all these individuals, real estate is just part of um, that puzzle, right? And it's for that individual, that W-2 income. They love their job or they don't love their job, but they know they need to generate more income. And real estate is one of the easiest way to do it. You got your stuck investor. They bought the one, but they don't know where to go. I kind of share a story of a recent investor that reached out to me, and they um, were struggling because they wanted to scale. And one of the first questions I asked them was, have they already bought a property? And they was like, yes. And they was like, and they actually cash flow. We did some minor fixes up, got new tenants in there, and it's cash flowing. But now, I don't know how to get the next one. And I was like, well, why aren't you able to get the next one from that one? And what do you mean? Well, the BRRRR method, right? And he's like, well, no, they didn't increase the value of the property enough. They had their own strategy, right? So technically, that property, even though it cash flow, was the wrong property for them. And so that's how you can get stuck, by buying something that is actually bringing money, but is not executing your strategy. As again, the agent or broker, I would say that's one of my third buckets, right? Of individuals that I want to assist, because as me being a real estate broker, we don't have 401ks, and real estate ends up being that, right? It creates other cash flow, right? I I work off commissions, right? So there's things that I want to invest in so I can get that, income every month, no matter what. And investing in real estate does that. And the first timer, um, one of my last clients that closed earlier this month, first time home buyer, but he bought a duplex instead of, a single family home. And those are the individuals that I try to, get to first, because you're coming from an apartment, you want a single family house, and you're so gun ho. But one of the smartest things you can do is purchase a duplex as your first purchase, because of um, the extra income that you have to spend out for a property. um, People are not really used to that, right? And because they're used to a landlord, well, now you have someone helping you pay your mortgage, and you can build your wealth starting that way. Well, the big domino, the one belief that changes everything, right, is the only way to build a real estate portfolio is through execution, not more education. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't move forward, you're you're just living a dream, right? You're not actually living your dream. You're just dreaming the dream, right? You're dreaming of the dream, and you're never moving forward. So all it is a dream, right? Is nothing you're living out in real life. Um, and that's strategy without execution, is just theory, right? You just like, I think this will work, and um, I know this worked because this is what I've done, and this is what I'm doing with my clients. Again, why am I qualified? Well, I'm a licensed real estate broker. I know what it takes to complete a transaction from beginning to end, and understanding the market, understanding what it takes to analyze property, and understanding the capability of what it could be. Being a licensed broker has given me access to reports, tools, and things of that nature. So um, that's my first credibility. I'm licensed to do this, right? I'm actually an active investor. I've completed these projects. I've done the BRRRR method. I've used Aspire to analyze deals and get deals under contract from not only for myself, but other clients of mine. As again, I'm an investor educator. I have my bachelor's in finance from UW Milwaukee. I also have two minors, one in economics and another in economic development. While also studying at UW Milwaukee, I'm at the Lombard Business School. I got a certificate in international business when I studied abroad in Paris, France. I got another certificate in Latin Caribbean studies. Now that might sound one of those, if you want to say, liberal degrees, but that was a cool one because I studied abroad in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and the program was actually around international finance and Portuguese and um, culture, and how um, you know their cultures, building their community. So that played a huge part in me. So, but again, falo português pouco. So the program did teach me a little Portuguese that I struggle to use every day, and that's where you get the bom dia from. I'm also Acre graduate. That's a local program here, but nationally known. Partners with Marquette University, MSOE, and UW Milwaukee, and it's run by LISC Milwaukee, which again, after graduating from the program, I ran the program for over a year and a half. Being the first person to actually be hired to run the program, so I'm very proud of that. And I got my associate degree from Milwaukee Area Technical College in Business Management. That gives me that background of just you know managing businesses, right, and having that approach. And because of all those things, um, I I understand systems are necessary and some of my analytical thinking ways. Um, that's how I approach things, and so I framework a lot of stuff, and that's how I came up with the Aspire framework to just simplify how I analyze deals. How did I discover? Well, having a desire to replace my income, right? And what I tell everyone and how I start everyone is reverse engineering, right? I'm no different than anyone else. I just consumed a lot of books, podcasts, YouTube, all those things, just like everyone else. Um, and just completed multiple deals doing the BRRRR method. And, as an investor and as a broker helping other investors do this. I saw the struggle, right? I was analyzing deals and didn't do anything. And again, this whole system is about execution. So I understand the struggle. I understand the cause to want to stop, which ran me into the wall, right? I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't moving forward, and just figuring out steps to help me get to a point where you almost have to pull the trigger, right? You almost have to write the offer because you went through these steps, you went through the system and it led to this point, and it says you got to move forward, right? And this is highly where the system came from, and that's where the framework came, right? Um, it wasn't until help co-found Inspire where I was able to framework it and put a better spin on it and give it this name, right? But I had this approach, and it led me down to, okay, once I get to this point, if it's a green light, I have to pull the trigger, right? There's no more needing to check anymore, and these steps just led me to executing because it was a system. Um, as everyone, I just discovered the hard way. I got my license in, uh, I'm telling my age here, but I got my license in 2005, I believe. And then, I got back in real estate because I got out of it around 2010. Got back into it in 2018, just where I was getting busy. Obviously I went back to school. I was working for a bank. And so but in the background, I was still analyzing, trying to figure out how to get in this real estate and just struggling from that exit point. But so I know the hard way of it not working, right? It's just seeming like I didn't have enough information or seeing another property get bought that I was looking at and I didn't pull the trigger. And just realizing, I had to put a system in place to start executing. And I know BRRRR is a strategy, but Aspire is how you execute it. And that's really where all this comes from. As I share with you guys, like I know what it means to struggle. I know what it means to not have the information to feel comfortable to move forward. And I can just tell you that it's it's a struggle, right? It's you're stuck, and these are some of the reasons why, right? You yeah, you understand what BRRRR means. Like, it's a cute saying, right? I mean, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. right? That sounds simple enough, but do you have an actual system of how to buy? What are your steps when you need to rehab? How are you going to rent that property out after you get it to that point? How are you going to refinance it? And then and what is the next step to repeat, right? That's a system. It's just not this simple, like I said, BRRRR, right? And from that, right, running your numbers but never making offers. What's the point of running these numbers and say, oh, the right price is to buy it at this point, and but then you don't make any offers? Like, what's the point of coming up with that number? Um, you just keep running numbers, but you never actually go into the properties to actually evaluate. You never reach out to contractors to see what they might charge for something, right? So you don't know how to evaluate a rehab. You don't know how to look at something and say, hey, I think this might cost this, right? It's getting to understand those things. Um, Financing, have you talked to lenders? Have you understand what it would take? What do they mean by the 70% rule, and how does that affect me for refinancing the deal when I fix it up? Like, what does it need to be so I can pull my money out or pull some of it out? Like, have you had those conversations? And then not having the accountability system, right? How to move forward, right? Everything should trigger the next move in the process. What you'll learn in the next 60 minutes. We're already halfway through. Aspire framework. You'll analyze the deal in under 60 minutes. And like I said, this is when you're moving on to that next step. Like, you should have done some preliminary numbers, right? If it's a fix and flip, you should have did the 70% rule off top. If it looks good, then you kind of go into the Aspire framework. And that's why it takes a little bit longer. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to analyze a bunch of deals every day, right, you should be taking 2, 3, 4 hours, a day of just analyzing deals, because that's the only way you're going to get deals done is by analyzing deals, right? You got to have a capital plan. You got to understand, you got to understand where the money comes from. I think finding the deal, you can find the money. That's why it's number 2. Some people try to say, I need to get the money first. No, I think if you understand how to analyze deals and you find the deals, you can find the money. And then it's execution, right? If I got the deal, I found the money, let's pull the trigger and let's go. The Aspire framework, this is secret number 1, right? Aspire, again, it was, Aspire Mastermind was the initial just aha moment, and then this came from it. Just like, oh, this is perfect. This is what I can call my system that I've been doing, and everything is right there. So, just A is for address, S is for seller, P is for price, I is for improvement, R is for revenue, and E is for exit. We'll get into more of that right now, right? A is address, is asset. What is the product that you're trying to purchase, right? What is the asset? What are you trying to improve? How are you approaching this, asset that you're trying to acquire, right? What is it? What is the potential goal of this, right? All these things should happen in A of, again, part of A, you should have did like a preliminary, like, okay, what's some information that I already have that could possibly be the end goal of this, because you kind of want to reverse engineer at this point. You don't have a lot of information, but you want to have some, like, okay, this is what it could be from what it is. S is the seller situation. Now, as you're going into it, you got the address. Now you look up who owns it. Is it a person? Is it a company? Is it a LLC? Is it a corporation? Is it the city? Is it, does the bank own it? Some of those things will help you, again, move to the next step of how to structure the deal that you need to put together. So learning this information, finding if there's any liens, repairs need to get done, right? That's part of analyzing. You might just drove past it. You should be able to put some of this information together. P is price, right? Now, off market, you're talking to the person, they're saying this is their price, right? Okay, now you need to come up with your price. What is the ARV? What's possible, right? Does that price make sense based on, my maximum allowable offer, right? Because The 70% rule is 70% of ARV minus repairs, right? Because I got to make sure I can get that loan, and I got to be able to recoup the investment I put in there, right? Um, can I create equity at the purchase, or is the equity only going to come after I put money into it? What's going to be the carrying cost, right? Because that has to put into play um, of the purchase price, right? And sometimes sellers don't take those things into consideration because I'm just selling this thing. It's like, okay, what can it be? Like if the seller doesn't have in mind that it's a fix and flip opportunity, they're not going to understand the 70% rule, right? Improvements. What is the full scope of work needed, right? What is the realistic rehab budget? What are some of the things that you need to fix, right? This is part of going to Home Depot, finding out what some things cost to better understand it, calling around to some contractors and saying, how long does this take to fix? Well, how long, you know, what is your cost? Is it per square footage? Is the project, different things, so you can better analyze these deals when you get to this point, and how long something take, right? And with these improvements, how should they affect the ARV and the rent that I can do and the refi, right? All those things. I always tell people the improvement part is the most important part because it's what puts everything together, right? The ARV only exists because I got to improve it, or what's the point, right? Revenue. Again, revenue is cash flow, or it could be the fix and flip profits, right? Obviously, you need to increase this to improve the property value. So it's either, the cash flow is going to go up or the value of the property goes up. Obviously both, so that you can refinance out of it, right? Because if that doesn't happen, again, does the refinance that I'm trying to pull the money out, does the new rent cover it? Or that doesn't work, right? Or is it a situation where I just need to sell it because I'm going to maximize the money that I can get back? And even though it's last, it's sometimes, like I said, it's like you're returning to it because you should have considered the exit strategy at A, because that's the reason why you're looking at the deal. But this is where you finally solidify it. So in the Aspire framework, there's only, we narrowed it down to 5 exit strategies, and that's, are you going to buy and hold? Are you going to BRRRR? Are you going to wholesale it, fix and flip, or seller finance? So you got to take all those things into consideration, because at the end of the day, even with a buy and hold and someone says I'm holding it forever, you got to still do something with it. So what is your exit strategy? Because, God, you will pass away. So what is the exit strategy for you? Is you going to put it in a trust? So those are things you still got to take in consideration when you're buying each property. Secret 2, the capital plan. Again, finding the deal is the most important thing, because if you can find a deal, you'll find some money. You'll find money for the capital plan. So is it going to be your own capital, right? I'm working with a client right now. They're using a HELOC. The client that just bought a duplex, he used a 5% conventional loan, and then he got down payment assistance, and he had to bring any money to the table. So again, what is the capital strategy, right? There's different ways you can do it, right? I got some, I had another client, they used their IRA. There's multiple ways where you can find the resources and the capital to do it, but you got to put a plan together for it. So is it your own capital? Is it private money? Is it hard money lenders? One of my other clients who went from 0 to $500,000 in 1 year, he was using hard money loans. He bought a duplex undervalued, fixed it up, pulled the money back out, used that resources to go get the next deal, and did it again. So, and he used the combination of 3 and 4, right? It's the hard money with the DSCR loans. And you can also use conventional financing, like I said, with my other client who did a house hacking. Execution system, right? Once those other 2 things, like, it's just a matter of pulling the trigger now. This is this is the system, right? You deal identification, you're identifying the deal, you have your strategy, we got your buy box, that's how you are able to frame stuff. As I always tell people, reverse engineer. I use the example, if you want to make 5,000 a month, the next thing you want to do is like, okay, how much do I want to make per door? If you want to break it down from that standpoint, so let's say 250. And so now we know we need 20 doors, right? Now we got a framework. Now I can actually analyze the deal, because once I analyze the deal and it says the cash flow is $400, well, okay, is that the $400 before I fix it up, or is that the $400 after I fix up? Because if it's $400 before I fix up, then now I can look at the deal and say, hey, what can I do to fix it up? What is after? Well, now if the after is 800, well, my 250 a door is 500 for a duplex is making 800. That deal works. Well, it's a 4 unit. After it fix up, it's only 800. Well, I'm supposed to make 1,000 is 800. Do I still want it? Does it make 800 in year? Does it make 1,000 in year 3? Well, if it makes 1,000 in year 3, maybe that's something I still want to consider. You know, now again, that might go against my strategy of BRRRR, because I want to pull the money out. Am I able to still pull the money out at 800? Maybe I can still pull my money out and it's only 800. Can I survive that because it's going to get to 1,000 in year 3? That's when you really analyze. That might sound like next level to someone else, but most people just look at year 1 and they say, oh, the numbers don't work, I need to pass on it. You got to look at the whole picture. Once you look at the whole picture, now you can offer and negotiate. A lot of times with my clients right now, like, because sometimes because you're doing this, you're going to be more sophisticated than the individuals on the other side that you're negotiating with. And so now you have to, navigate that. So, and sometimes telling clients, telling the seller on the other side, this is the reason why I'm offering this, and they don't understand the whole picture because they don't understand the 70% rule. Their agent doesn't understand the 70% rule. So, how do you navigate that? How do you negotiate that? Sometimes I have to put my clients and say, hey, we got to negotiate with the inspection, right? Just get near to the offer that they're asking for, and then we can negotiate when we get into inspection. And if they don't, then that's a way for us to get out of it, right? Speaking of, inspection, that's where you can do the rehab execution, right? Because you want to confirm those things through the inspection that, you know, that will allow you to accurately scope out the rehab and what is the true cost of it, so that when it's time to execute on the rehab, you can do everything and stay on timeline so that everything works. And now if you got a hard money loan, you can refinance out of it before your 6 month is up. So all those things, obviously, like I said, runs into 5, where that's the refinance, right? You want to make sure these things are lining up so that you don't run into these problems where now the rehab went over 6 months. Now you got to go try to refinance the loan and the hard money loan because you read their deadline, or can you still get another individual to take over, to wipe out the hard money loan so that now you can go and repeat. This system makes sure that these happens on time. Excuse me. As I was sharing with you, I mean, the system works, right? One of my clients right now, like I said, we just closed. We closed on a duplex. He's a W-2 professional, employee, works for the system, and used his W-2 to buy his first property, gonna house hack. Um, you know, again, as the other person, investors, like my first client, he's not a state investor. He wasn't going to be here. Kind of got stuck. He was just at one, but he knew how to get. That he was going to pull some stuff out, but needed to take some time. But just making sure that we get comfortable, right? One of my clients, took a little hiatus, but then when he started coming out, I was like, hey man, we just got to get back into writing offers, right? And it was partly of, we got 5 no's, but we're writing offers, we're in the game, we're doing it, and now we're not just stuck, and you got to keep moving forward. I think a lot of people, Analysis paralysis will never go away. And so if you just go out and start analyzing deals, you're just going to analyze paralysis. You need a system. You need something that says, hey, this is a go. You need to go to the next step. Again, a lot of agents and brokers don't have a 401k, and this is a way to generate income to help you fund your business, right? I use rental income and um, you know, fix and flip profits to help, fund my real estate business and help maintain my income when, deals that I do with other clients transactions, right? This helps sustain me. And a lot of agents don't understand or have the faith because they're living check to check with commissions that they don't feel comfortable enough to take one of those checks and invest. And so having this system gives them more confidence to move forward in that direction. Um, Anyone that's been studying the BRRRR, right? Anyone that's been um, considering that the BRRRR is it, but they haven't did anything, right? And I would say investors who, again, I think sometimes investors work with, I love my industry, but agents that just want to close a deal and they don't understand that you're not buying a property, you're buying a business, and you just can't buy it at the price that is at just because that's where it's at. And the CMA said that's what it's worth, right? And that's where I feel like a lot of clients or a lot of investors get caught up because they're treating it like a hobby when it's a business, right? You can't afford not to take this seriously even on the first one, right? And sometimes people, and even once you get the first one, someone will get like a day because the deal went so well and they, kind of got lucky, if you want to say, and didn't really have a true system in place. Um, yes, if you follow this, you will execute your first deal. I, I don't want to, like I said, the only way I can't guarantee, because if you can't get the capital or if you can't get pre-approved, if you don't have your resources in, then that's the only reason. But you'll have a business plan on how to move forward. I would say those are the only two things. Like you couldn't find the down payment because of the deal, um, or you couldn't get pre-approved. But beyond that, you can definitely close a deal in 90 days. Um, RTS Investor Execution Cohort is part of the 90-day program that we implemented with the Aspire Mastermind Group. The Aspire 90-day program is with the RTS Investor Execution Cohort. Um, where you get that, where you're going to get with this, you get weekly live coaching, capital planning sessions. I introduce you to lenders that you can use. We'll put the planning schedule together. You'll get access to the Aspire Mastermind Group. We meet once a week, but then you get contact with those individuals, um, other investors, the other leaders of the Mastermind Group, and everything else. Aspire Deal Training, also part of that. You get the actual 90-day program, and you'll get it at a discount because of that, because you're being part of the investor execution cohort. Accountability, you get weekly check-ins, deadlines, you got to do certain, you get assignments, right? Because in the 90 program, we give you actual assignments that you have to do so that you have to keep moving forward. Yeah, you're a grown man or woman, but yeah, we're going to give you assignments so that we keep you moving forward. And then we'll actually go over live deal reviews. We're going to actually schedule, we're going to hold, like I said, holding you accountable so that you get these deals done. All this is a $7,400 value. And guess what? You get all these things for 2,500. 7,400, all for 2,500, right? You easily pay 2,500. You're gonna make at least 10,000 that, off of that. So I will guarantee you will make your money back within that time frame. Not alone just with the BRRRR method of getting the money back out of the deal, or your cash flow. So you're paying for, you're investing in putting yourself on the path to generating income and wealth, and you get nearly $7,500 in things that are going to move you forward, and you only have to pay a third of it, which is $2,500, and we'll break it down to you for $850 in a payment plan, 3 months. So we'll work with you, but all those things that you get for $2,500. If all it is get you under contract, right? Your first deal, is that worth it? Right? Actually give you a system where you're just not randomly analyzing the deal. Would that be worth it? Right? If it helps you actually recycle the capital and get you into a portfolio of to 5+ units. Again, client last year went from 0. He actually got 3 units, but he got 3 doors. He has a $500,000 portfolio. If paying $2,500 and a year later you have a $500,000 portfolio, is it worth it? You got to think about that. Now your choices is you can keep watching videos, you can keep running numbers, you can keep waiting for a perfect deal. You can stay in your situation, or you can start executing. You can join the RTS cohort. You can get into the expired system. You can get coached every week, and in 90 days you have your first closed deal. I mean, you can keep doing what you're doing, or start living the life you want to live. And as you can see, the web page is down below where you can sign it up for, and start moving towards the life you want to live. And what I do tell the people, before I get into that, real estate should be a way of paying for your lifestyle. As I tell some of my clients, hey, you want the new car? Cool. Let's go get a duplex. Let the duplex pay for the new car, right? And that's part of some of the deals. Like, you can pull, your money out, go get another deal, and then pull some of that money out and you pay for your life, right? You want to go on 4 more vacations? Well, let's go get a 4 unit. That 4 unit, fix it up, do all the things, pull money out. Now the rental income can pay for those trips you want, and now you got that cash to go get the next deal. You want that mini mansion. Like, I know people want a nice home. Well, let's go get a 6 unit. The 6 unit, you fix it up, pull the money out, go get the next deal. But now that 6 unit is paying for your new house that you have, right? If paying this amount can get you into your next deal and get you closer to living the life that you're wanting to live, 2,500 is not that much when you're looking at the grand scheme of things, right? Now into the first 10 people that sign up. If you enroll tonight, we'll give you a bonus one-on-one strategy. We'll sit down and really map out your first deal, and really go through everything and understand how we're going to get you from where you are today into your first deal. We'll give you an expired deal checklist, go through the things, filter out the stuff. It's a printable PDF. It'll help you what you need to do. And then eventually, as working with us, you get access to the calculator. And the calculator, you can just actually input the data and it runs it for you. And then again, we'll give you a contractor scope template, basically breaking down everything that you need to go through, things that you need to look for, pricing tips on how you can analyze a rehab when you go walk a property, right? Because those are some of the things that you can do inside the Aspire deal checklist, right? ASP, right? You might actually go visit the property before that, so you want to verify I, right? So you actually go to the property, verify I, you walk it and understand it. Now you can truly go through it, come back home, finish with RE. If everything goes, now you write the offer, right? All that. If you sign up tonight, that's what you get. Now, obviously, if you want to reach out to me, I would love to take any questions that you might have. You can put it into the questionnaire chat box, and we will get back to you. We know how to connect with you because of you signing on. But I want to thank everybody for coming out. I really appreciate your support. And if you are ready to take that next step, if you're ready to raise the standard and live that better life and get some assistance on how to use real estate to accomplish that goal, um, I'm here for that. I'm here for you, right? Again, I want to thank Next Home My Way for allowing me to host my webinar here in the Next Home My Way headquarters social media room. I'm just so grateful. Would not be able to put these things on and have this awesome set to produce these webinars. So I'm so grateful for Next Home My Way for providing this opportunity to me. So thank you again. And they are, I have to give them a plug. You know, they're always looking for new real estate agents that are looking to um, take on, you know, challenges and wanting to build a real estate career and be part of a great environment. We have two offices. We have one here in Milwaukee, and we also have one in Florida, Lake Mary area, Lake Mary, Florida, where Angel has his two offices. So thank you. Big shout out to them. And thank you for everyone joining me. I appreciate it. You know, we're on a movement of raising the standard. You know, my motto, obviously, like I said, raise the standard is if life is not better for, you know, those individuals I work with in my community, you know, why do it? And then be better by being better, right? It, I try to improve things um, every day. And that's what I try to do with my clients is helping them improve, helping them get closer. And what's your legacy, right? Why are you doing this? What's all this for, right? Yeah, you want a bigger house, you want a nice car, but you know there's got to be something deeper that you're aiming forward to while you're doing this, or you know you're gonna lose that momentum to move forward and try to accomplish these goals if you don't have, you know, what they say, that big why. Uh, so again, thank you for joining me as always. Um, every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, I hold these execution lab webinars, investor execution lab webinars with weekly live training. Go over some different topics. You know, we'll start analyzing real deals and things of that nature, and help you just build your investment system. Right, we're just helping you understand how to analyze real deals, how to build your investment system, and then execute with confidence again. So again, thank you. I'm Charles Anthony, your real estate investment broker, here with another bright idea. Beleza.